Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wingin It Podcast, episode number 12. We are full of exciting news today. First up, I want to announce the winner of the giveaway. If you haven't seen the last couple of episodes, the giveaway was a year's subscription to any streaming platform, being Netflix, KO Sports, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Stan, all of that good stuff. So the winner was randomly selected from all of the followers on the Facebook page, and the winner is Hassan Oran. I do apologize if I've pronounced your name wrong, but the winner was randomly selected, and congratulations to you, sir. You have won. So if you're watching this on the website, make sure you go to the Facebook page where I'll be posting the winner there, and make sure you leave a comment on that post to say that you've got it, and we can organise to get you sorted out. More exciting news for the podcast. If you're watching this on the website, you must know that we now have a website. In the last little snippet that I put on the Facebook page, we are being kicked off of Facebook due to a breach in the Facebook community guidelines. It's unfortunate, but we are looking to step forward and continue to build the podcast as a following. I thoroughly look forward to doing these podcasts, and I really enjoy sharing with you guys my take on world news and events and all the rest of it. So we'll be doing some exciting stuff with the website. There'll be some really good stuff happening fairly soon. So make sure you keep an eye on the Facebook page and on the website as well to keep posted with that. So today's topic, without further ado, is a part 2 on the Russia and Ukraine conflict. There has been some very interesting and somewhat controversial news being released about the conflict. So we'll get into it straight away. So pretty well, a few days ago, or nearly a week ago, Putin ordered an invasion of breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine. So he's now put in the order to attack. That is what's happening. Russia are now going in. He's put the order to invade. So things are now happening. As soon as that happened, less than 24 hours after the invasion had started, or the announcement sort of happened, the U.S. straight away haven't intervened, but they've sent a heap of forces over to help. Now, it's quite interesting because if you've been following the whole conflict and how everything is developed, Russia pretty well said that if anyone intervenes with anyone that is in NATO with Ukraine, so if you don't know, NATO is like a national peace treaty, or whatever you want to say. So countries are in the NATO. It's like a partnership, so to speak. And so Putin said early on that if anyone who's a part of the NATO with Ukraine supports them, there will be dire consequences for them as well. So pretty well, if you put two and two together, that's going to say, I'm going to attack your country as well, or nation as well. So the US, President Biden has done some very smart calculations and has done something within a little grey area, I believe. He has sent a lot of troops over there to help fight. But here is the catch. He hasn't interfered with the NATO. So he hasn't sent any troops and forces over to Ukraine directly. He's sent them to neighbouring countries which aren't a part of the NATO. So the Baltic allies, so allies with Ukraine, such as Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the neighbouring countries, they aren't a part of that NATO. So he has sent, I believe, 190,000 troops. Oh, sorry, Russia had 190,000 troops on the Ukraine's borders before they started to attack. And the US has sent a lot of troops over there. There's been 6,000 troops, or 6,000 US troops already over there, and a battalion of 20 attack helicopters and 24 fighter jets already over there, but he sent more troops over there to support Ukraine. So as of now, US has more than 90,000 troops on the continent, and most of them who are positioned outside of Eastern Europe. So he's been sending more and more troops over there. Just last month, he sent 9,000 troops to Romania. So that's another neighboring country. So pretty well, all he's doing is loading up the surrounding countries of Ukraine that aren't a part of the NATO. So Putin can't go against his word because the NATO is like a nationally or globally recognized treaty. So pretty well what Biden has done is he's been really smart. He's saying, I'm going to do everything I can to support Ukraine and essentially send them troops. But of course, sending them troops would cause Putin to have, ramifications against the US. But because he's sent them to these other countries like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and things like that, all he's doing is supporting Ukraine indirectly, essentially. So it's smart by him. It's a way that he's been able to support Ukraine without causing ramifications with Putin. So as things ramp up and the invasions start to actually happen, it'll be quite interesting to see what happens. So what I'm sort of interested in is if Russia can actually take over Ukraine, which if you know anything about military and the world's military, then you know that Russia is a global power in military personnel. So I believe they definitely do have the power to overcome Ukraine, but now that other countries, including the US, has been loading up outside or neighboring countries to Ukraine, it'll sort of it might deter Putin a little bit more from attacking more, because he's got once he takes Ukraine, then what? He's got all the rest of the Allied troops there ready to invade Ukraine back, or even just sit there and wait and see what Russia does next, because no one knows. Like, Russia could take Ukraine, and then what? Like, does he continue through Eastern Europe and pushing back? Like, it's no one knows what's going through the mind of that man. And I think as much as Putin has released statements saying that his global or his targets are only in Ukraine, in terms of there's a main oil line that runs through Ukraine, and obviously Ukraine are a global source of oil, then that might be what he's attacking, and he just wants to keep it there. But no one knows. He might continue on pushing further west across Europe. But again, it's similar to the first episode, or the part 1 of this series. Only time will tell. It's hard to tell exactly what's going through his mind. Through the media can twist words and things like that. So until we know exactly what's going on, then your guess is as good as mine about what's going to happen. The only thing that I'm worried about is if Russia take Ukraine and the Allied troops that are in these neighboring countries start to invade Ukraine against Russia, then does that then break that NATO? And is there going to be a world war on the Ukraine front going towards Western Europe? Like, is that where the front line's going to be, similar to like World War II? Like, who knows what's going to happen? It's quite a nervous time for the world, I think, just waiting it out, because obviously these things don't happen over time. And I think that if that NATO is broken and Putin declares war, I think that there definitely will be a World War III. I think that we're on the cusp of it now, given the action that's been happening, how he's decided to invade. I'm not sure what his motive is. There's press releases coming out saying that he wants to be the USSR that was built in World War II, which of course included Ukraine. But again, like, until they take Ukraine and things settle down, we don't know what's going to happen. And also the ramifications of if Russia decide to keep Ukraine and not just give it back to them because they just wanted to show the world how much of a powerhouse they are. If Russia keep Ukraine, is that gonna disrupt global trade routes with the oil and all the resources that come out of Ukraine? So that's gonna that'll impact the whole world in terms of the stock market and share prices, and even like the resources sector, having the availability of all those like precious resources and oil and things like that. Is that going to continue the like the downward spiral that we're seeing, and of course we know the fuel prices through the roof at the moment? Is it only going to get worse? Like it's one of those things where we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. In press releases, Biden has said that Russia is poisoned. This is a quote directly from him. Russia is poisoned to go much further in launching a massive military attack against Ukraine. I hope I'm wrong about that, but Russia has only escalated this threat against the rest of Ukrainian territory, including major cities, including the capital city of Kiev. Not sure how to say that. So it's continuing on the story that was from the start, that the whole world, including the U.S, doesn't want Putin to invade and attack and escalate the conflict even more. But obviously evidence has shown that he's fairly adamant that he wants to take Ukraine for whatever reason. So we'll see what sort of happens in that conflict, and where his motives lie. There hasn't been, or I haven't found a press release that tells us exactly what Putin wants, other than obviously to invade. But what his motive is up to anyone until I find a press release that where Putin says exactly what he wants with Ukraine. Everyone's at a guess of how much further forward he's willing to push, and obviously how hard he's willing to fight for whatever he's looking for. So furthermore, on the US sort of engagement with Ukraine and Russia, so the defense secretary of US has quoted that we as a nation that has so strongly and badly experienced World War II, we know what support is all about. We are ready, of course, to support all those who need the support and who suffer because of such an aggression. So that's saying that the US is willing to do anything because the US was such badly influenced, and the ramifications of World War II, then they're willing to support countries like Ukraine because they know of the consequences of a war and something like that. And even in that quote, when the defense secretary is like comparing this conflict to World War II, that already says that they know that if things get worse, this is going to become World War III. And everybody knew that something was coming. We had the North Korea or South Korea was firing missiles probably 12 months ago or 2 years ago, if you remember that conflict. I'm not 100% sure about what happened there, but obviously it all settled down. We've got the wars in Afghanistan and Kazakhstan and things like that. We haven't heard much about that. I'm not sure whether they're still going on. But things like that, those conflicts, they sort of settle down after a while and things sort of work themselves out. But when the defense secretary of a major power is comparing this conflict to a world war, then we know that things are serious. And I think that World War III is coming. It'll be interesting to see what happens and how it affects the rest of the countries involved. But yeah, it'll all depend on pretty well. The ball is in Putin's court at the moment. Like we've got troops resting around Ukraine. We've got people sitting there ready to go to defend, but pretty well we're just waiting on what Putin's move is. I mean, obviously he's just ordered in the invasion to start. So is that is that the big move, or is there something else coming that no one, foreseen? In the last episode, we talked about like nuclear engagement and things like that. Of course, there is a world, how would you say it? There's a world sort of agreement that we don't use nuclear weapons in war because of the after effects and things like that. But what's stopping him, really? If he wants to, he could start using nuclear warfare and start, something. He could escalate a lot more quickly than what anyone had ever thought. And I honestly don't think that he's going to start using nuclear warfare, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the near future, because obviously with the technology and where it's come up in terms of warfare and weapons and things like that, it's readily available to us, and it is there if they want it, which is quite scary because, the way the technology is now, you can fire a nuclear warhead halfway across the globe. So if, that's where the threat is. It's not like, say, if Australia, we intervened with the NATO, there's no reason, several thousand kilometers of ocean can't separate us from Russia, because the amount of technology we have, we can send warheads like halfway across the globe. So it's quite a scary situation. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But again, all we have to do is just sit and wait and hope that things don't go bad, or go from bad to worse. So I'll keep you guys updated with everything that I know. That is just about it for everything I know on this one. Again, another short sort of podcast, but as things develop, I'll share with you guys what I've found, and we can go from there. If you guys are watching this on the website, as I said earlier, there's going to be some exciting things coming to the website. Just make sure you continue to support the Facebook page. I'll be sending updates, and when I post a new podcast on the website, it'll be posted onto Facebook. So I'll be sharing it onto Facebook to let you guys know. So the website is going to be our main source of communication, but we'll continue to work through it as the website develops, and we'll continue to build the following that we have. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in today. Make sure you keep followed to the Facebook page. As I mentioned earlier, there will still be updates. I'm working on the next giveaway already. And again, Hassan Oran, I'm not sure whether that's how you spell or pronounce your name. Make sure you leave a comment on the Facebook post, and you will be able to claim your giveaway winner. You'll have 1 week. If you do not claim the giveaway win, I will redraw a random follower, and someone else will get it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll keep you guys updated with all the information that I have. Catch you guys.